for me, gold was also a negative experience because I already thought I had a solution for me personally. So I didn't take Bitcoin seriously. I wrote about Bitcoin in 2013. I bought, I sold. I wrote in all the years. I wrote about the bubbles in 2016, 17, ICO, Ethereum, all that stuff. Bought, sold, speculated, lost money. I wrote about a Bitcoin-based actual Ponzi scheme, not Bitcoin, but like a Bitcoin-based Ponzi scheme in 2019 with thousands of victims, right? Which really turned me off the whole Bitcoin story because I always understood that what Bitcoin wants to do, but I didn't believe it can succeed. I didn't believe it's going to work. I thought it's just going to be the gold. That's it, right? Let's say the Peter Schiff way, okay? And in 2020, when Bitcoin was already in the 5 digits price-wise, I still, like, this is embarrassing, but I still sold all my crypto and Bitcoin in the Corona crash, in the March crash, because I thought the world's going to end. And my mind was not with Bitcoin. I talked to people who are very good friends today, who are better investors than me, that bought Bitcoin at like $3,000 back then, right? And I still remember this. I said, "Are you crazy? No, like the world is ending, and you're buying magic internet money, right?" But I was wrong. I was dead wrong. And then I realized that they're just going to fight this problem with money printing, and that's why when the markets and gold and Bitcoin all shot up, and then I realized that I was wrong. I had to realize, like, it humbled me. I was wrong about Bitcoin. I have to realize that this is real, and if you realize and if you accept that Bitcoin is real, it has consequences. So my first consequence was that for the first time ever, I was forced to sell some gold to get like a little bit of Bitcoin exposure. I didn't have so much, but a little bit of, like, I could have gotten more than this exposure easily a year before.
I also feel like the thing that you're describing, that you got the fiat system and you got that it's not working out anymore. More and more people seem to wake up to that. Maybe it's because I'm living in a bubble, but I hear more talk also outside of the Bitcoin world about inflation, how things are getting more expensive. Obviously, it gets worse with time, and so the worse it gets, the pain gets bigger, so more people will talk about it. I just fear that in the medium run, most people will go to the wrong solution. I mean, we've seen in Argentina all over again, where new currency, it failed again, new currency, it failed again, and new currency failed again. And people still believe the same thing about the new currency, that they
even
lost
the same name.
Even with the same name, yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's very sticky. The fiat money scam is very sticky. It's very convincing because people are used to it, and they don't like the idea of questioning the monetary system is basically insane. Like, I know this because I was a gold bug. Like, as a gold bug, you question the monetary system, but it's so hard because there's no like livable alternative that you can use right now. Yes, you can buy a couple of gold coins, but it's not like you can use it for anything, right? And yes, Bitcoin will also have to go through the store of value phase first before it really becomes a unit of transaction and a unit of account. But it's possible. It's like with AI, you can see the potential, right? With gold, there is no potential. I mean, I love gold, but only as a pure store of value. That it's even more greater fool probably than Bitcoin. I mean, I don't know. With a solution by the government, the government right now, it doesn't even provide a solution. Like, they don't even do monetary reform. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is making the problem bigger. That's the plan. The plan is not to just cut away a couple of zeros, and something that has happened in Europe as well. By the way, it's not just a phenomenon in Argentina. This has happened in the 20th century. You've seen this in France even, right? But that's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about right now is just keep on pumping it up, finding bogeyman, finding excuses for the inflation. But yeah, you're right. Inflation or like monetary inflation, the effect. In German, we have a word for that. It's Teuerung. So it's like expensiveness. I don't know. There's no English word. It's interesting. In German, you have a word for inflation, the act of inflating the money supply, and the effect, which is stuff getting more expensive. In English, you have inflation and monetary inflation. It's also interesting. You have inflation and you have monetary inflation. You also have hyperinflation because that has been a problem. Nobody ever talks about hyperdeflation because it's never happened before. Because that doesn't seem to be a problem, you know. But on the other hand, it's the economists from the fiat system are telling us that deflation is such a big problem because, yeah, in the credit-based system, the credit deflation, yes, that's a problem, but not the actual price inflation of things getting cheaper. That is not a problem.
I mean, if you account your prices in Bitcoin, we lived through hyperdeflation the last 10 years. I guess.
Yeah. If you do, but I mean, that's just a couple of complete nutheads.
Yeah.
Who do that. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to the idea of having a new money, I think that the phases, you have to look at the phases. So it's first it's store of value, then it's unit of account, and then it's unit of transaction. Now with Bitcoin, you can do all of these things at once. The first mainstream media coverage of Bitcoin was always fixated on the unit of transaction, like the last step, because there's a new money, you can use it to buy stuff, right? But there was never the idea of a new money that you can use to save your money in.
Is the unit of transaction later than a unit of account? I always switch them.
No, I think it's later because first you have to establish it as a store value, right? You have to know that this thing is worth something, so you can reasonably expect it to be worth something tomorrow. That's where people think it's the greater fool theory, right? Yeah. Then you start thinking. That's the unit of account. It's not like the prices are really in the supermarket are in sets. The unit of account is when you start thinking, should I buy this house or should I wait? Should I buy this new car or should I get Bitcoin, right? That's when you start using it as unit of account because you have an alternative. And then as a last step, when everybody has basically said, this is a store of value, when everybody started to think in a unit of account, then you have a unit of transaction. And if enough people use a unit of transaction, Bitcoin as unit of transaction, then shops are forced to also price things in sets. That's my idea. I have no idea, but that's my theory.
Interesting. You said the unit of account, I try already to do a little bit. I track my spending, I track my income, I track my net worth in a huge Excel sheet that I do since years, just for fun. And what I did, I think like 1 year ago, I started having a second column, and it's great because you can just like pull out the Bitcoin price on that date with the tools, and how much Bitcoin did you get. And so like when you see that and make the switch, you actually like bear markets because you see that the amount of sats went up the fastest in bear markets, and it's the slowest in bull markets, obviously, because it gets your income buys less of the sats that you have.
It's even easier if you don't work in the Bitcoin industry and are not negatively impacted by the bear market. It's hard if you are. It's very. I mean, compared to other industries, it's like a wild ride. I remember when like in the last bear market, when the rates went up, like the quickest rate hikes in history, right? And I mean, basically, Bitcoin and crypto priced it in within 20 minutes. In real estate, it takes like almost 10 years. They are still reeling now. We already had like the worst was behind us by dinner time, right? Because it's so quick. It's so quick. And then, of course, you have this situation that even though we all agree that Bitcoin is, number is going to go up, better times are ahead. Some players, some companies will not invest in bear markets because they think it's not the right time. It's probably, in retrospect, it's going to be the right time, but it's always hard to say, Feelings, it's like you see why we have bear markets. Even people who are 100% convinced about Bitcoin are still getting nervous. Even though they get more sets, then they write about cheap Bitcoin, but come on.
I have an interesting example for that. On YouTube, there's a feature when you when the creator of the video likes a lot of comments of one person, the person gets like a sticker. Like they get something like, oh, it's a person that the creator likes a lot. And there's one person in my comments that was super positive on Bitcoin. Like he always left great comments. And now he turned the last couple of months very negative on Bitcoin, and like it's over and like all of those things. And I only realized it because of that feature, because he still has that tag on that I liked his comments a lot, and now he turned negative. And I'm like, how many people are there that love Bitcoin when it goes up and hate it when it goes down, and just like go with the flow and
Many.
buy high, sell low, as
I
we
know.
talked before.
I know. That's why I talk about my own mistakes, because I know these people, because I'm one of them. I know, like even like journalists. Sometimes journalists will do stories because they lost money. They sold with a loss, and then next day you have like a column. It's like, Bitcoin is the shittiest thing ever. Stay away from Bitcoin. I'm thankful it's gone. It's dead, right? How many articles about Bitcoin is dead are from people who just lost money, sold at a loss, and now want to convince the world that they are right still, and then they have to, I got humbled many times, just like that. So it's human psychology. It's pure human psychology. That's why I think it takes time in the bear market to get to a point where there's like a stable floor. That's why it's there's not gonna be an omega candle or a super cycle or any of that bullshit, and not like in the and you can even see it in the media when you look at like the news. Once you have a bear market, okay, everything's negative, right? Then you have a couple of weeks of prices going up, everything gets positive again. And then there's like, we got it to 100,000, 120, 150, 200,000, all-time high next week, whatever, right? And yeah, and then there are people who are so pissed at themselves for selling at a loss or doing this or doing that they want to get rid of all the Bitcoin things in the world, and then they will unsubscribe your channel, they will unsubscribe my channel because they just don't want to see it anymore. And that's totally understandable. That is a process that we have to go through. And yeah, I also see that in my comments, that they turn more hostile and more like negative. Even if you do like me, I'm doing in the year 2026, I'm doing bear market content saying, I'm not trying to say we're going up next week. I still think, I don't know when you're going to release this, but I still think we're going to stay within the 4-year cycle. We're going to bottom probably in autumn. It can be that it's the same, like 60K, we just revisited. We could go lower. We could even go high, like have a higher high, but we're still going to go have a higher low, but we're still going to have a low, right? And I've never really done any price analysis, but I thought that it's my responsibility to give people like my opinion. It could be wrong, obviously. I mean, people should know that I could be wrong. It's a very high chance that I'm wrong, but it's still my responsibility. And it's easier for me. It's easier to do in a bear market, because if I say, hey, be careful, it's easier than to tell people we're going to the moon. Yeah, but that's what people want to hear. It's like there are some content creators who are just like perma bulls, because they know people just want to hear that they're gonna get rich with Bitcoin. Don't tell them anything else. They're just gonna be mad at you.
I mean that's a content creator topic, but I just want to love to bring it up because there are certain titles and thumbnails that kept on working.
Yeah, sure.
And it's for me so interesting because there are so many people that complain about that, but there are the same people that watch it and comment and push the video with the comment and the watching. And I would love for the title and the comment and the thumbnail and everything always to be right on exactly what we talked about, like the perfect
No, I
summary.
know.
Like, it's like
It's
it
impossible,
just does not work.
especially for a long form podcast. What are you gonna do, right?
It has like 7 topics in there.
More. I think we have like 70 topics already. I mean, we went from from ball sunning to the greater food theory.
True.
Like half an hour ago, we talked about AI and why people like listening to podcasts. So no, I understand. I do it all the time. And if I wanted the highest number of clicks, it would always be Bitcoin's going to 1 million, Bitcoin's going to 100 million, Bitcoin. I mean, honestly, if I put like a little chart into the thumbnail, it's gonna perform better than if I don't put a chart in there. If I do this, it's going to perform better because people want emotion. People want to be surprised and all. I mean, that's just and that's what I said. It's human nature, and it's market psychology that you also see in the Bitcoin price, and that's why it takes time for this psychology to play out in order to have a bottom, and then we can go up again.
I love that. We have one last thing that I actually have to take out my phone because I didn't remember it. We have a question from the previous guest. He's always asking for the next
I remember that. Do you still do that?
I still do that. I deleted a lot of the other end routines, but we managed to get through the whole episode to not talk about strategy. But the last
we didn't talk about strategy.
Not really. I think I mentioned it once, but like we didn't really talk about. But the question is about Satan strategy, obviously. What are your thoughts on Saylor saying he's gonna potentially sell Bitcoin if he needs to in the future?
Well, I mean, it was interesting because it's such a big topic in the Bitcoiner circles. But then you look at the price didn't react at all, which is interesting. Meaning that the market already understood this and already has priced that in because obviously
price of strategy or Bitcoin.
Both, honestly, as far as I remember. But so it's either we are already in a raging bull market again, and negative news do not qualify for a leg down, or it's just not negative news, because we're super schizophrenic when it comes to Saylor. On one hand, we're saying, it's a problem. He's buying too many Bitcoin. He's like almost 1 million. He could go to 2 million. It's centralized. That's a problem. And then the next day when he says, I'm going to sell some Bitcoin, he says, oh my God, you said you're not going to sell Bitcoin. Why would you sell Bitcoin? It's the best thing ever. Obviously, when it comes to Bitcoin, at some point, selling is really the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a scarce asset. They're not going to make any more of it. But it really does not have any form of intrinsic value because it doesn't exist, but it doesn't have any, there's nothing you can do with Bitcoin. Like you can't even do jewelry. With gold, you can at least, I don't know, put it on the floor or put it on jewelry or like do something nice and shiny with it. So Bitcoin really is just a unit living on your computer screen. And yeah, I mean, you can hold it forever. And you can give it to your children, and they can hold it forever, and then you can use it to get loans against it. Yeah, you can do that, but ultimately, people will always be selling Bitcoin at some point because they want to buy something else, right? And that's fine. It's totally fine. And for strategy, it's probably a good thing that they say this because if they have 800,000 Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes up to 200,000 or 1 million, they're gonna have an enormous amount of Bitcoin and a gigantic amount of money, and then they can use that money to sell out investors. I don't see a problem, really. It's more flexible than that. Like if you have a heart, the only thing that I would say is that, I mean, Saylor literally said something like, "Don't sell your kidneys before you sell Bitcoin."
I was just about to think about that.
And that's just American marketing, I guess. And he doesn't really care. But he also said there's never going to be a crypto winter again. So I know he just says one thing this today, the other thing tomorrow. But as a company that is also has shareholders, right? I don't think you're even able to say we're never gonna sell Bitcoin. That doesn't make any sense. Like it's like if I'm a shareholder. And your position is that even if we go under, we're never gonna sell any Bitcoin. So yeah, I think it's like the market thinks it's a nothing burger because that's obvious anyway. It's just that some crazy people didn't believe it. I don't know, but I don't think it's a big deal. I would like him to sell some Bitcoin, to be quite honest. He can sell it to me to a special price, very, very low price.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast. And if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click
right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.